Hi, I'm Stephanie Weekstrom. I am a licensed counselor who specializes in relationships, and I'm also the founder of the Counseling and Wellness Center of Pittsburgh. I'm going to talk about the 14 best ways to tell if your relationship is toxic. Toxic relationships, it's one of those buzzwords that we kind of throw out there in popular culture. But as a relationship expert, we really do know that there are certain qualities that make up toxic relationships. So the first one is invalidation. There's a lot of research on the effects of the invalidating environment. And if you wonder what that means, think about this. When you try to share your feelings or your thoughts with this person, do they become defensive and tell you that you're completely wrong? Do you have to completely work to get them to see your side of things, or do they never see your perspective at all? While two people in a healthy relationship will sometimes not see things the same way, that's different from a person trying to convince you that your perception is inaccurate and the only way to see things is theirs. One of the things that many couples therapists coach couples on is there are two valid perspectives in the room. People in healthy relationships set out to understand each other's feelings, and that means that your partner tries to see your side even when you're in the throes of a disagreement. Number two, uses guilt. Right? So are you walking around like a stick in the mud, feeling like you're always regretting something in the relationship? Maybe you're being victimized by endless attempts at guilt. Try to tell that person that you can't make it to the holiday dinner and this year, and she says, well, shows how much you care about this family. We need to have the freedom to pursue what is right for us and the encouragement to express it without buttressing up against endless guilt trips. And number three, uses manipulation or gaslighting. Did you ever try to talk to a partner about feeling hurt or anxious, or as they're over there drooling at the handsome guy at the cocktail party last night and then they call you clingy and crazy? Does your loved one say things that you're outright not true, and sometimes you end up wondering if you're going crazy because their perception is so entirely different from yours? Or your friend or partner who outright lies when you catch them doing something inappropriate. It's common with narcissists and sociopaths to use gaslighting. Gaslighting is defined as purposely telling someone things that are totally untrue. That's even more sinister than lying. It's a form of brainwashing, and it's intended to throw you off your intuition and make you doubt your reality and the validity of your feelings. And the sad truth is that those who are most vulnerable to gaslighting are those people who value others' feedback more than they trust their own intuition. Those who have grown up on high doses of manipulation, and especially the people pleaser, dependent personality type. So next, way to identify if your relationship is toxic, is it not reciprocal? Are you always putting in work for the relationship and the other person simply isn't? Whether a friend, relative, partner, healthy relationships are mutual. That means that both people are putting in the work to make each other a priority. If you've talked about this with them before, maybe are too afraid to talk about it because your intuition fears that you might learn something you don't want to. A good test is to stop putting in the effort and see what happens. Do they reach out at all? Next, do they minimize your needs? They might be toxic do you ever work really hard to make yourself understood, and maybe you've stopped because it feels hopeless. If you tell your friend that you have a lot going on, you need to make it home right after dinner, and they say, oh, you can stay out longer, you'll be fine if you miss that test tomorrow, right? It's not somebody that really cares about you. Do you feel afraid to talk to the person? If any of these things are true, you may become conscious or unconsciously afraid to talk to this person. Maybe you start to turn toward others to talk out your thoughts, and maybe you shut down and repress your authentic self completely because you fear that nothing will happen, or that you'll walk on eggshells because you're so afraid of upsetting them by talking about what you may or may not want. So another toxic habit in relationships is holding the relationship hostage. Does your partner or friend threaten to break up, leave, never talk to you again? Do they block you all the time on Facebook because you've done something that, or asked them something they didn't want to hear? Sometimes this is a symptom of a person who doesn't know how to manage their emotions well or is poor at resolving conflict. And other times, this is a big fat red flag, marking the territory of a toxic relationship. Healthy connection is grounded in trust and commitment. You know that each other will be there when things get hard. Of course, sometimes there's a breaking point when it becomes so hard for so long that one of the people in the relationship wants out. Ending a relationship is not toxic. That means you're just done. Do they use the silent treatment? When something happens that is upsetting to them and they refuse to communicate for days, weeks, months, a person who uses the silent treatment is often trying to gain control over the situation, or maybe even more insidiously, they might be trying to hurt you by shutting you out. The antidote for the silent treatment is to develop a self-soothing strategy that creates enough calm so that life's invariable relationship challenges can be overcome. Maybe this person make you feel like you're never enough. You will know when you experience it. If you tell them that you've got an A on a promotion and they say, well, get the A+ next time, or bet the promotion won't last long. We must champion each other in relationships and encourage each other's success. Find pathways to overcome problems. This is the reason that people enter relationships, to give and receive support. Do they not apologize? When you have any relationship that's more than a flip in the sheets or a handshake, you're going to mess up. Healthy people apologize when that happens, and it takes a strong person to offer an apology when they're wrong. Toxic people will criticize, blame shift, deny, become defensive if you try to extract an apology from them. Do they not forgive? When an apology does happen, loving people do their best to forgive. Forgiving can be hard. Depending on what happened, you might not be able to forgive. For instance, if there was an infidelity in your relationship or some other betrayal, you may need to forgive, or you may need to end the relationship. The choice is always yours. However, if you decide to remain in the relationship, then you're also committing to forgiving and not using that mistake as a launching point for endless criticism, guilting, and shaming. At other times, if the same apology has been happening for a really long time, it becomes meaningless, and you may start to realize that the perpetual issue is a deal breaker. In that instance, working on honoring your boundaries should be the goal. Does this person use name calling make you feel diminished? Well, we do end up feeling irritated when our partner's behavior sometimes. Healthy interactions focus on the behavior, not the person. It's a difference between saying that you notice someone's bedroom is messy and calling them a slob. Name calling can be outright abusive, and it is a sign of a toxic person. Does this person go into rages and use anger to control? If they have a quick temper and they use it to wield power, saying and doing things that leave a lasting scar, of course, we are talking about physical abuse or safety concerns. This is more than a sign of someone who is toxic. That's violence. Same with pushing, choking, pinching, blocking someone's exit to safety, breaking their items, to name a few. Having a temper is never an excuse to make someone feel unsafe or do any of those things. Do they zap your energy? If you leave their company and you feel completely depleted of energy, is this friend that always monopolizes the conversation? Do you know so much about them, but they don't know so much about you because they barely ask? Or does this person have more heads than the fabled Medusa, constantly talking poorly about other people, especially talking critically about others when they're supposed to be their friends? Do they constantly play the victim and come to you for the rescuing? Chances are they are toxic. The take-home point is that toxicity is among us. Others take on these characteristics out of necessity in their lives, and they fail to integrate healthier strategies for relating to others. If we want a healthy relationship, we won't find it by accepting the above behaviors and dismissing our fears and intuition. Toxic behavior doesn't change on its own. It requires professional intervention to support relationship health. Be well.